welcome back to the Outreach Mentor. It's been quite a while, but let me tell you, the wait is sure worth it. Not just because you are going to meet a very interesting student, but because her knowledge on the subject she is pursuing is so very intriguing and detailed. Let me start by telling you a bit about a topic we have never touched upon. Okay, so we have to understand that high school or A levels or grades 11 and 12, as most of us know it as, come with streams and options practically all over the world. And we have three major areas that have specific subjects to choose from, which is science, commerce, and humanities. So I'm going to touch upon humanities, a much scorned upon stream. Well, I have news for you. The possibilities and opportunities in taking up this stream is endless. I will talk about them more in my future episodes. But today we are here to talk about psychology, if ever you choose it in the humanities stream. So let's hear it from Alanna D'cunha herself, all about psychology, the schooling system and university expectations the Australian way.
Hi, my name is Alanna D'cunha and I am a second year psychology student at Murdoch University here in Perth, Western Australia. Today I will be sharing a bit of information about the Australian schooling system, how to get into university, and why I chose to study psychology. In Australia, we have three different schooling categories. The first is primary education. This goes from kindergarten, or kindy as we call it here, all the way to year 6. The second is secondary education, also known as high school, and this goes from year 7 to year 12. The final one is tertiary education, which is any further education that an individual may choose to do after year 12, such as university or a diploma at TAFE. Here in Australia, schooling is mandatory until year 10. After that, there are two streams that can be taken if you wish to continue studying. The first is ATAR. This is a pathway that I chose and one that many other Australian students choose. At the end of year 10, you pick between 4 to 6 ATAR subjects that you will study for year 11 and year 12. Each university actually has prerequisites which are required ATAR subjects that must be taken in year 11 and year 12. So it is important to check with your university before picking your ATAR subjects. All this information can be located on the webpage of your university. This is an image of the course handbook from Murdoch University, which is where I am currently studying. And as you can see here, the only prerequisite is English. English is the one subject that all students must take and pass if they are planning to go to university. This can be quite daunting, and there are many students, including myself, who actually don't pass this subject. If you don't pass, do not worry. You can still get into university by doing a special tertiary admissions test, also known as a STAT test. The other pathway that can be taken after year 10 is called General. This pathway can be for students aiming to enter the workforce straight after high school or who prefer a more hands-on approach to learning. Another reason that people may choose to do General is because it is a less challenging study pathway and it's a good fit for those students who struggle with rigorous testing and exams. For General students, there are multiple ways to study at university. One way is to do a portfolio entry and a 6-month bridging course. These processes can be confusing and overwhelming, but if you need extra support, don't be afraid to see a career advisor at your school. Additionally, you can also go on the website of the university that you are planning to study at. Now I'm going to talk about why I chose to study psychology. So for me, I've always been interested in the healthcare sector and I always knew I wanted to go into the health industry. But it wasn't until year 12 actually that I decided to study psychology. This is because so many of my friends were struggling with mental health issues. After doing further research, I discovered that it's actually not just teens and young adults that suffer with mental health issues. In fact, a statistic from Beyond Blue, which is a leading research organisation for mental health here in Australia, states that 75% of all mental health issues start before the age of 25. Mental health actually stems from childhood, and this shocked me so much. After hearing the statistic, I decided that I want to study psychology so I can help other people with their mental health issues. This, paired with my love and passion for working with children, made me decide to do child psychology. I know everything that I have mentioned before is about the Australian schooling system and studying here in Australia. However, many universities all over the world, including Murdoch University, which is where I am currently studying, offer great exchange programs. This means that you are able to travel anywhere in the world and study what you are passionate about. If this is something you are interested in, I highly encourage you to do more research about it, as exchange programs offer many great experiences and allow you to experience a different culture and way of living while you study. Fortunately, psychology is actually a very popular, well-known course and is offered all over the world. So if doing an exchange program is not for you, you can still study it in your home country or city, depending on where you live. Hi everyone! I hope that the first segment was informative and that you now have a better understanding of the Australian schooling system, as well as how to get into a university. The next topic that I will be discussing is the course structure of a bachelor's degree in psychology, as well as the possible options for masters or specialising once you have completed your bachelor's degree. Now, most bachelor's or undergraduate degrees are between 3 to 4 years. This is an image of my course plan. As you can see here, I started in semester 2 of 2020 because in semester 1 I did a 6-month bridging course. This is something that I discussed in the last segment. Now in university, there are 2 course loads you can do. The first one is a full-time study load, which is 4 units per semester, or a part-time study load, which is 2 to 3 units per semester. Now part-time study load is a lighter load and is beneficial for those who have other commitments or are unable to cope with a full-time study load. However, if you do part-time, it will take a lot longer for you to finish your degree. Now the degree I am doing is a 3-year course. However, I'm only in my 2nd year, so in this segment I will only be sharing the details about the first 2 years of this course. Now year 1. In most degrees, the first year is where you do your introductory units. While these may be tiresome and seem boring, they actually set the foundation for the rest of your course. They also help you gain a better understanding of the subjects that you may have struggled with in high school. Personally, I did not do any of the core sciences in high school, such as psychology, human biology, or chemistry. So these first year units were a great way for me to learn the basics that I missed out on in high school. One of the units that I did in my first year was called Building Blocks to Science, or BSc 100. This taught us how to create graphs and charts as well as basic maths and chemistry. It also teaches you how to write using scientific languages. And if you are considering doing this course or a similar degree, I highly recommend taking a unit like this one. Some of the other units I did in my first year were Introduction to Psychological Science, or Sci 141, Introduction to Psychological Research Methods, Sci 173, and Introduction to Psychological Health and Wellbeing, Sci 172. As mentioned in my first year, the units were very broad and were very related to science as a whole. Now in my 2nd year, I've been doing units that are more psychology focused. Like last semester, I did a part-time study load and took 2 units. the first being an in-depth behavioural science unit. This allowed me to study the behaviours of humans and animals and how we interact and form relationships, as well as how nature compares to nurture in terms of shaping human evolution. The second unit I took was cognitive neuroscience, which taught me about the brain and the many cognitive processes and functions that occur whenever we make a decision or perform an action. Now that I've given you all an in-depth description of the course structure and the first 2 years of my degree, I'm going to discuss postgraduate study, or Masters as it is more commonly known. Psychology is actually a very broad field and is involved in everything we do. This means that when you choose your Masters, you have an endless array of choices. These choices can range from creative fields such as art or fashion psychology to more science-based fields such as health science or clinical psychology. You can even go on to study in the field of criminal justice and can pursue a career in law or social work. The possibilities are numerous and endless, and if you are unsure of where you want to end up, a bachelor's degree in psychology is a great place to start. I hope this segment has helped you understand more about the ins and outs of university and has shown you the endless possibilities and opportunities available when you are studying psychology. Stay tuned for the next segment, where I show you my portfolio, as well as all the volunteer and work experience that I've done, and the opportunities for students studying psychology. Next, I will be showing you guys a bit of my portfolio, as well as sharing some of the volunteering opportunities and experiences that I've had that have been helpful in my studies. Now, psychology requires a lot of theory and written knowledge, and it is important to have a strong base knowledge before becoming a practicing psychologist. This is why the first 2 years of my degree have been mainly theory focused. Unfortunately, as I'm only in my second year of my degree, I am unable to show you any practical assessments or experience I have gained while studying. Most of my assessments have consisted of lab reports or essays. A lab report is a written report on an experiment that is conducted. One of my favourite lab reports was one I did in my first year, where I studied how the effects of meditation and yoga affected sleep quality. In this experiment, I did a series of self-tests and created various graphs and statistics to display my data. Although I have not had much practical experience through my university, I volunteered for several different organisations and events in order to gain experience in the field. Volunteering is a great way to get practical and hands-on experience and can also lead to an increase in job opportunities. If you are interested in the field of psychology and have a passion for mental health, there are several places you can volunteer at. Some of the key organisations here in Australia are Beyond Blue and Headspace. One of my personal favourite organisations to volunteer at is a church-based organisation called Heroes Academy. Heroes Academy is an organisation created by Nations Church here in Perth, and it is dedicated to helping community families that have children with disabilities or additional needs. Each year, Heroes Academy holds 2 mega playdate events. These events provide one-on-one support for kids with disabilities or additional needs and give them a chance to play and have fun while catering to their disabilities. It also gives parents time to relax, rest, and recuperate while their child is playing, which is something they don't often get to do when being a full-time carer to a child with additional needs. I love volunteering at these events, and it has given me hands-on experience into working with children who have additional needs or disabilities, which will be extremely beneficial in my future career as a child psychologist. This is something I'm passionate about and is one of the reasons I decided to pursue a career in child psychology. Volunteering provides so much space for growth and learning and new experiences, and if you have spare time during your week, I highly recommend looking for a volunteer position or internship in the field of your choice. Not only will it give you a sense of joy and fulfillment, but it will also look great on your resume and will make you a valuable asset to future employees. Overall, there are a lot of different job opportunities, possibilities, and routes that can be taken when studying psychology. As I mentioned in the first segment, where I discussed why I am passionate about studying psychology, mental health is an issue that is increasing all over the world. Mental illnesses are no longer just occurring in adults, but children and teenagers too. As societal pressures increase, so do mental health issues. Mental health is also something that is not acknowledged or recognized by a vast majority of the community, which leaves those suffering from mental health illnesses feeling extremely isolated and alone. One of my goals as a child psychologist will be to equip young children and young adults with the tools and strategies they need to combat these mental illnesses. However, psychology is not just about mental health. Psychology is merely the idea or process of understanding why a behavior or action occurs. Because of this, it can be found anywhere. And if you choose to study psychology, you can go into a career in art, law, teaching and education, business, and of course, healthcare. It is a booming field, and with jobs like HR and marketing relying more and more on psychology, it is a very useful skill to have. I hope this video has been informative and that you have been able to learn and understand more about the field that I am so passionate about. Thanks for watching.
Wow, that was great, Alanna. And you surely have changed the misconceptions people may have had about the choice of subject. How it can be such a lucrative career with endless possibilities. So if you too have a passionate career line you would like to talk about, write into the outreach mentor at gmail.com and get connected.